Welcome to the Inspection Empire Builder podcast. On this episode, we have Hank Lobdell, and we're talking about what it looks like to be an IEB coach. And welcome to the show. I'm so glad you tuned in today. Today we're talking with Hank Lobdell. Hank, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. I am radiant today.
Yes, radiant. Look, like how you weave that in there.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
good. Yeah, because your company is called Radiant Inspections.
Radiant Property Inspections. We have
Yeah, there we go.
We have our own language. You know, I'm radiant.
Yeah, I love it.
Matt, man, I hope you're having a radiant day.
I love it, man. Yeah, do you guys answer the phone that way?
We're supposed to. They don't do it all the time, but we try to tell people when we're talking to them, we hope you have a radiant day. Or, you know, sometimes I love to answer phone is, how can we make your day radiant?
Nice. Thanks for calling Radiant Property Inspections.
Yes.
How can we make your day radiant? Yeah, I love it. I love that.
The more we can say radiant, the more it's in their head that's who they have to use.
That sounds like a logical, subliminal marketing. Yeah, I like that.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, so Hank, like you and I have been in IEB together for quite a while and quite a number of years, and we see each other at all the different events. We see each other online for different Zoom calls and stuff. You know, a bunch of our audience are IEB members that listen, but there's a bunch of other inspection companies that listen that aren't part of IEB, but they get a lot of value from the content. And I like having you on here today. We can talk about, because you're one of the coaches in the group, and you lead a subsection inside of IEB. And for those that don't know, like we subdivide. So we have our big group stuff, but then we have our smaller group stuff. And our smaller group stuff, we subdivide based on kind of the size of your company. So we're navigating specific challenges that you have. As a solo inspector, you're navigating a different set of challenges than the guy who has like 8 different offices in 5 different states, right? Like they just, and so, yeah, what group are you coaching right now?
I'm coaching the builder group. So that's basically from the one-man operators to about 4 or 5 inspectors. We ask for to move up to the next group, which is the entrepreneur group. We usually ask for someone that we try to have them out of the field by then, so that they're running their business instead of working in their business.
Yeah. So when a guy is running solo and he's like has ambitions, I want to add team members, that's when he moves, because there's a launch group or there's a smaller group of like a solo inspector, but he just wants to be a solo guy. He's still getting his business launched. And that's a different group because they're having different sets of challenges.
A whole different set, trying to balance family and business themselves. It's tough being that solo operator. When you have time to take vacation, when you have that time to spend with the kids. Because as we all know, you try to do that. Matt, you've been there. I've been there.
Yep.
As soon as you say no to an agent, a lot of times they find someone who else can take care of them. And I don't know how many times I picked up a lot of agents because they were using a solar operator before and they couldn't get them to them in time enough, or they were on vacation. And they said, "Hey, my normal inspector's on vacation," and they used me. "Wow, we really like you. How long does it take for you to get an inspection to us?" Usually within 48 hours, we can take care of you. We got, multi-inspectors in. They're like, and then that solo entrepreneur, solar inspector now lost the agent because we were able to take care of their needs quicker.
Yeah. And as a solo guy, I remember when I first started, like most solo guys, you're answering the phone, you're booking the inspections, you're writing down everything, you're taking care of contracts and payments and all the details in order to get before you even get out there. And then you're out there, the guy's showing up and you're on site and you're doing all the work. And then, you got to go back and get the report and send it out. And then you still got to do the bookkeeping and the taxes, and you still got to do all the other compliance paperwork and you got to do marketing and sales. And there's like all these different things. There's like 12 things necessary to run a home inspection company. One of them is doing the inspection and writing the report. Like there's everything else that has to happen.
When you've been out there, I know, in Florida, attics are hot. I can't tell you how many times my phone rang while I'm in an attic.
Yep.
And I would still pick it up and answer the phone. And they're like, "Oh yeah, we need to book an inspection." I'm like, "Okay, well, I'm in an attic right now. And
Mm-hmm.
like, what I like to do is I want to give 100% of my attention to this inspection. It's going to take me about another hour and a half. Can I call you back then so that I can give you 100% of my attention to you to answer any questions you have? And
Yep.
I found that line worked great as a solo person because they're like, well, wait a minute. He wants to pay 100% attention to what he's doing. And then he's going to call me back to give me 100% attention, try to do both at the same
Mm-hmm.
time. So I really never lost. They always waited till I called back before they booked something with anybody. So
Yep. Yeah, I had that I did the same kind of strategy. And what I found is that during that hour and a half, they would kind of call around and price shop a little, but they're going to wait for me. Like they're going to wait, this other guy was calling me back when he's out of the attic. And so by the time they did a little bit of price shopping and calling around, I had the opportunity to come back at the end. So I agree with that. It's kind of a similar thing. Make a good impression on the front end, give them a little bit of time. And then when you end up calling back when you're not in the attic, then you're like, all right, man, I'm going to go in and close this deal. And so, and then, you have the opportunity to close it. And I don't know. I never sold on price though. Like, I'm not sure about you, but I don't, price wasn't really a thing. People would try to talk me down or, well, could you price match? Like, no, I really can't.
yeah.
And
I
they'd be
tried
like,
not to either. And I met an
Yeah.
agent the other night and he actually charges 10% to do listings.
Wow.
And I was like, really? He goes, yeah. And he goes, and if they don't want to do it, they were like, well, I loved his line. And I'm like, how can I implement this in my business? Was like, he tells them, well, if you don't want to pay the 10%, goes, let me, like, here, I can give you a couple other agents that you can afford.
That you can't
And I was
afford.
like, wow,
Yeah.
I love that. Here are some people that you can afford. Saying, wait a minute. And then he goes, a lot of times they're like, wait a minute, I can afford you. But I love that. I love the way he looked at it.
Yeah. Yeah. Here's a couple of you can. I love that. That's a good line. There's a guy in my town, and I don't want to say his real name, but we'll just pretend his name is Ray, and so he's the cheapest guy in town, but he also has a reputation for having some anger management issues. He's not a very happy human. And so people will call up and they like, well, can you price match? I found somebody for $20 cheaper or lower, whatever. And I'd be like, oh, you're looking for the cheapest inspection in town? I'm sorry. I didn't know that. The cheapest inspection in town is Ray. And he's the cheapest. So if you want a cheap inspection, go call Ray. Do you have a pen and paper ready? I can give you his number right now. And they'd be like, oh, yeah. So I didn't realize that the cheapest inspection is what you're looking for. And I say cheap as much as I can. And then I was like, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, we do the highest quality inspections in town. And so if the cheap guy is Ray, you should call him. And that was kind of the line I used for a long time. I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, you're looking for the cheap guy. His name is Ray. I'm the high quality guy. And
I love to explain to people that, like, when they say, oh, your prices are higher. I'm like, well, let me ask you this. Do you believe in the saying that home is where the heart is? And most people are like, well, yeah. I said, so if you have problems with your heart, would you be looking for the cheapest heart surgeon or the one who is most experienced? Even though they're higher, who would you be looking to hire?
Yeah, it's true, man.
I've never thought of it that way.
You kind of get what you pay for, so I never really sold. I always sold on quality. It's like, oh yeah, I'm so sorry. And now we're at a place where, as my company has grown, now we're multi-inspector and I'm out of the field and we have a bunch of guys running around town. So now our Google reviews are exponentially higher than anybody else's. And so now it's even easier for not even answer the phones and anything now. So, but my staff is easy to go, oh yeah, no, like, hey, listen, we are the best in town. You don't have to take my word for it. Just look at Google, look at the Google reviews from our actual customers, and most of the time people are like, yeah, I see it, like, yeah, I know, I saw the reviews. Like, yeah, we're the best. Like, and so
I love the reviews. I've looked at the reviews. You got really great reviews. I want to use your company. And
exactly.
I love that because I know they did their research and they're not
absolutely.
calling about price. They're calling about when can you get the inspection done.
Yeah. And we don't get a lot of pricing issues. In fact, we actually raised our prices by 20% just a couple months ago. And so we're like, let's just bump our prices and see what happens, because we're 100% booked all the time. And so, so we bumped our prices 20%, didn't even They didn't even feel it. Yeah. Not a single person. Like we got like one person made a comment, and like a repeat broker made a comment of like, wow, I think your prices went up. And they're like, yeah, they did. And we just moved on, and they still booked with us. So it was, you know,
I had one time I had an agent say, man, your prices went up. And I was like, well, I said, based on what I see on the market studies from the Realtor Association puts out, I said, houses went up over last year this much. So your commission went up this much, which was a 27% increase. I said, I went up 11%. And he smiled. And he goes, I'm not going to say anything about your prices again.
Yeah, it's true.
Because
it's true.
When you know your numbers and you know your market, what the market's doing, and you understand what they're doing, they respect you more. I mean,
they do.
I had one agent said, I'm going to use you because you're the first home inspector I ever heard use the word fiduciary.
I love it. But it's true. Like I think with realtors in general, I think because they're basically paid to negotiate and on behalf of their clients, like that's what they're doing when they're buying these houses. There's negotiations and on repairs, there's negotiations on price, there's, and so they advocate for their client, and they work, and that's part of their job is to do that. And so when they pushed, I don't take any offense to it when they try to negotiate. And so, but when they do try to negotiate or push back at all, when we stand our ground, I'm like, oh no, that's just not how that works. This is our price, and we're going to bring you the best quality ever. I know, and they normally respect it. They're like, yeah, I get it. And so it's very rare that we get any kind of pushback these days on anything like that. But that's just because we built a really good reputation. But I think if you build a reputation of like, if you push this guy, he'll cave. You'll get more and more of it. Because if the realtor calls up and gets you to discount your price by $20, guess what? Next time they're going to try to get you to discount it by 30. Yeah. And it's just because they learn. And that's a good realtor. Like they're trying to negotiate and give their clients the best price. Like I don't fault them for asking for a lower price. Yeah. That's their job. That's what they're doing. And yeah. And
I look at them like, good for them. But the good agents also respect a truly professional business owner and inspector.
They do. They absolutely do.
That you are a business person. You understand what's going on. I can't say how many were shocked when you say, hey, they're like, can you sponsor this? Well, are you going to guarantee me a 5 times return? I said, this is what I need for this. And they were like, well, why do you say that? I say, well, here's what a profit if I'm going to do this, I need to make a 20% return on this, which is 5 times the amount of what you're asking for my spend. Can you guarantee me that? And they were like, well, why do you come up? I explained to them why, and they're like, wow, I never thought of that. I need to start implementing that when people ask me for stuff.
Yep, absolutely.
Absolutely. And they start respecting you when they understand you're a business person and you're not just past years and everything. There's always been a bad reputation about home inspectors. It's just, someone's retired, they're doing this as a side gig, whatever.
Yeah.
But when you're a business person running your business and not, a home inspector who happens to own a business, there's a totally different respect level with the agents. Or let's say the good agents.
Right. Yeah, no, it's true. And I think and that starts from the very beginning. It doesn't matter if you're a solo inspector just getting started, approach it like a businessman. Or if you're scaled up like some of these larger companies that are out there, you approach it like a business and a businessman or businesswoman, and people will respect that. And I do the same thing. Hey, can you sponsor this event? And I always tell them, I was like, yeah, I said, I love to sponsor events. I said, I have a budget and I actually have a formula for this because I have to be careful with my marketing budget, make sure it's being spent wisely. So let me ask you a few questions. And I do. I ask a few questions about what they're doing. And then, they'll do like customer appreciation, right? And here's a broker that uses me all the time. And like, hey, I'm doing this customer appreciation event. Can you help sponsor it? And I'm like, yeah, that sounds great. It's like, I literally pull up in my software how many inspections they've sent me. And I have a formula for it. And so I tell them like this one guy, Adam, I literally said, I have a marketing formula. And he's like, oh, okay. I was like, give me a minute. Click, 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 click. All right, here we go. I said, I am willing to spend, and in his case, it's like, I'm willing to spend $450 this year with you on marketing. And he was like, oh. And I was like, right. And it's like, so you're asking me to sponsor this event? How many events do you want me to sponsor this year? Like, and I said, and he was just blown away. He's like, really? Yeah. I was like, yeah, man. I said, I work with like lots of realtors, and I understand, like, like you send me money, I send you money. We're helping each other out. We're building this thing together. I said, but I have to be wise about my money and how I'm spending it. And when I had a formula and I put it together and said, this is how much money, I said, so I can blow $450 on this one event, or if you'd like, I can sponsor a few more events throughout the year. And he was like, that's awesome. Like, can you do like 150 for this one? It's like, done, you know? And so, and then they're like, awesome. Then he hits me up a little bit later. He's like, I got this other event coming up. It's like, sounds great. I'd love to be part of that, you know? But like, they respect it. The brokers do. The brokers have a marketing budget. They have a budget they spend on ads and leads and Zillow, and they have to approach their business like a business. And when we approach our business like a business, they like, oh, I respect this. You know, this is like, we're business people, and we're business people. We're not like no matter where you're at in the game, whether you're just getting started in the business or not, you're still a business person. And if you approach it that way, you really garner a lot of respect within people within the industry.
Correct. Absolutely.
Yeah. And so you've been coaching within IEB. You work with a group that's like, you're 1 to 4 inspectors. And if you're a solo inspector, you're at the place where you're like looking to expand and grow. What are some of the things that you really enjoy about being a coach with that bracket of businesses?
Well, I love giving back. I mean, I've had coaches pour into me and to help me grow my business. So I think a big part of that is I'm always a firm believer, people poured into me, I need to be able to give back to others. So that's been a big part of why I love coaching, is just giving back and helping people. I'm a giver, so I want to make sure they understand. And, you know, I have the knowledge, been through this. And also I've experienced a lot of pain in growing a business. So if I can help someone else not have that pain and say, whoa, wait a minute, you're going to go down this road. This is what it's going to be like if you took this track. You know, it's going to be smooth ride and everything else. You know, do you want to drive on the interstate for 100 miles, or do you want to drive on a back road, bumpy with potholes and everything else, and where you have chances of falling off the cliff or not for 100 miles? I want to be able to steer them towards a smoother route. You know, I used to say, as a leader and everything else, and I look at a coach as well, you know, I say, you know, our goal is like football. You want to go from one end zone to the next. That's how you score. So I'm trying to say, well, the easiest route is straight down the center, and instead of zigzagging, going back and forth, and, you know, you can run 100 yards from one end zone to the next, or you can run 300-400 yards zigzagging back and forth to get down to the end zone. What direction you want to go. Our goal is to get you to try to go the quickest route from one end zone to the next without spending a whole bunch of time and wasting a lot of energy.
Yeah, for sure. And I think if you look, all elite performers in every field have coaches.
Yes.
Like LeBron James is arguably one of the best basketball players to ever play the game. Definitely in the top, right? He's up there, right? He has multiple coaches. Right. Michael Jordan, he's up in that conversation. He had multiple coaches. Tom Brady in the quarterback football world, one of the best. He had multiple coaches. Peyton Manning, one of the best. Multiple coaches. When you start looking at the guys who are top performing in any kind of sports section, you see that it's very normal for, you have both the head coach of a football team, right? You also have an offensive coordinator who's coaching. You have individual coaches for quarterbacks and for receivers and for linemen and for, you know, and all these different people. And then some of the top guys will hire an outside coach to come in and help them with nutrition. Sometimes they have special fitness coaches to help them with their physical fitness and weight loss and or strength building and strength and conditioning coaches. And you start to look at all this, then it's like, wow, to be a top performing athlete, you have all these coaches in your life from the time that you're little all the way to the time that you're growing up and becoming a professional. It's the same thing in business.
Same thing. Business, a CEO has a coach.
Every one of them.
Yes.
They have coaches, they have people. That's why we go to conferences, right? And that's like the high levels. Like we go to a conference because we want to learn some more stuff and get some coaching at a high level in a large group. And then you join a place like IEB and all of a sudden you get into a different level of coaching. So now you end up joining like a builder group, and now you have a weekly phone call. You're on a Zoom call with other people in the same boat as you. and you're all learning from each other's mistakes. You have a coach like yourself in running that group who's a few steps ahead of where these guys are at. Hey, watch out for this, watch out for that. And you end up surrounding yourself with people and you're coaching. Really, the path towards greatness is a lot of humility to be able to learn from other people. And I think that's why joining a group like IEB is so important. You join this group, you jump in here, you get in, and then you get coaching both in large group and in smaller group formats. And you end up meeting a lot of great people, and you even have some one-on-one conversations, and there is some one-on-one coaching opportunities inside of IEB as well. And I don't know, man, I think coaching is something we all need. And yeah, I mean, the reason that I love doing the podcast is IEB poured so much into me that, like, man, I got to find a way to get back to this community. And I actually get to learn a lot from being on the podcast with so many amazing people.
Well, I've learned more coaching than I ever did working with a coach.
Yep.
You learn more because you're constantly trying to make sure you're ahead of the game. So you're learning more and you're educating yourself so that you can be a great coach. And so you're constantly pouring into yourself to be better. So, because you got to be able to answer those questions. And it goes the old saying, if you're not growing, you're dying.
It's true.
So you have to keep growing yourself by educating yourself, working with people. You know, the other big part of it too is the accountability partners. You know, you got your coach, but then you also have someone who is going to listen to you, bust your butt if you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, and call your BS out on you, and have that person. I have 2 accountability partners. I have one that's within IEB. We talk every week and say, hey, what's going on this week? What are you doing? Here's what I'm doing. And next week we follow up. Did you get it done? Why not? So.
Yep. Yeah. It is helpful to have that check-in of like, well, did you do what you said you were going to do? Because I think as a business owner, one of the things is like, we don't really have a boss. And so who's really holding us accountable to like doing the things we're supposed to be doing? Yeah. And if, I don't know, you got to have somebody, I think, or it's helpful at least to have somebody that kind of keeps you moving in the right direction and with some accountability. I think that's a good thing, and one of the other things within I
was say, and the other part of this too is, as a coach, the other joy coming with this too is seeing people succeed. And you see the excitement when they're moving up and their business is growing and they get that. It's great. But I also think when you do work with coaches, either in IEB or anywhere else, the people that have the most successful with a coach is the ones that check their egos at the door. Because if you get an ego, you're not gonna listen to the coach's mind. Oh, I can do this, or oh, I know better. It's you got to leave that ego out of it to be able to be successful in being a coachee and learning from somebody.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And and so we have like within IEB, we have these communities that are great. And I think one of the highlights of the year for me though, is like we have our annual conference called Unite. And it's coming up here in a few weeks, and I'm not sure when this episode will air, but the first week of March. It's in Orlando, Florida. It'll be a great time this year. But then the other thing is we do this men's retreat that we've been doing, and we've been doing about once a year. And we just got back from one of those. You were there, I was there. We were there for in a time where we get out of town. It's only men. Within IEB, they have a women's retreat as well, but with the men's retreat, and we got to kind of take some time and really get the opportunity to, as men, talk about real life and real life things that we're facing. And I don't think we talked anything strategy about business. I don't think we talked anything about that while we were there. I don't remember having a single conversation about business. We were all business owners, but we didn't talk about that, man. We got like, let's talk about who we are as men.
Yeah. When you look back at it, I talk about there was no ego. There was nobody saying, oh, I'm doing this. I think without going too deep into what we talked about and revealing all our secrets that we have in the retreat, but it was really, we were talking about some of the challenges as being a business owner, a father, a husband, and a man. what are we facing? You know, I admitted to group, I didn't want to be there this year. I was going through a lot of stuff and I didn't want to be there. But being in that group and be able to get that off my chest and had what was 15 of us, they have 14 other men supporting me and helping me. And then realizing I'm hearing other people's stories. I'm like, well, I'm not the only one going through a lot of this. And so, yeah, it's really good. But I think just the connection with men and realizing that it's okay how we're feeling. It's okay to have these challenges. It's okay to have these successes. But the one thing I realize is all of us, we're worried about being a husband. We're worried about, are we doing enough for our kids? And are we doing enough to give back to our communities and take care of everyone else? And many times we forget about us. And the men's retreat is a great way to focus on who we are.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is, it's, because as men, I think we give a lot, we provide a lot, we're, the whole protecting and providing side of the man that loves that side of it. And it's like, I'm going to take care of my wife. I'm going to take care of my kids. I'm going to take care of my business, take care of all the different things. And, if you're married, I'm not married, but, but if you have all these different pieces that you're taking care of these different things, right? Like as a man, it's like, I'm trying to take care of all of this. And sometimes it's like, well, how am I taking care of myself? Because if we're just pouring out over and over and over again, we got to take the time to come in back and make sure that our tank is full too.
Right. Because I love the saying.
It feels selfish. Can I be honest? Like sometimes it feels selfish to do that. It feels like I'm being a selfish person if I'm taking care of me, especially when as a man, I can see.
Year I said that. I talked to my accountability partner. I would let him know what's going on. I said, am I being selfish? He's like, no. And I love what I've heard this from multiple people now. It says, if you can't take care of yourself, you can't take care of other people. And that's a big thing with the men's retreat. It helps us take care of ourselves. Because while we're there, we're just focused on us. Yeah. And even though I'm not
and
sure
then
if I got to shoot you or not at the men's retreat this year. I know I shot at you.
If what?
I said I don't know if I got to with the
paintball.
But I know I got to shoot at you a couple times. Yeah, paintball.
Yeah, dude, that was fun. We did paintball. That was such a blast, and it was way more. I mean, I knew it was going to be fun, but it was way more fun than I thought it was going to be. And I was a little bit surprised. Sloan was there, and Sloan's paintball skills were next level.
He was
like, I was going to ask. He had to have served.
He's been in real life situations with that.
Okay. I was good. I didn't have a chance to ask him when we were there, but just watching him, I was like, oh, this guy's like have professional training. Like he obviously served military and probably had some real life action because the way he, like everything about the way he walked, the way he carried himself, the way I was like, dude, this guy's nuts. He was like really into it and he was really good.
Yes. But even the year before.
I think the end,
the end was epic. But I even think the year.
Oh, the end was amazing. So at the very end, the last game was like, it was like, I forget what we called it. It was like the mercy rule. Basically, you tapped out when you Iron Man. That's right. And so you tapped out when you were done taking a beating. And so it's because before you get shot once, you're out. And this last round, it was like, as long as you're getting shot, as long as you want to stand there and take it, you can take it. And there was guys that were like, they would get like shot 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 times, like right in a row. And they just keep going. Troy got shot in the back of the head. Like he got wasted, like just so many paintballs. And he was just taking it. And then all of a sudden that one hit him in the back of the head. And I think that was the one he's like, I'm done. That was enough. Yeah. Like you probably saw some stars with that one, And,
well, I mean,
and then at the very end, it was Mark and Sloan. Yeah. Like people got enough heat and they're like, yeah, this is too much. Like they're getting hit in the neck and stuff. You're like, oh God, that looks painful. And at the very end, it was Sloan and Mark and they're standing like 5 feet from each other, and they're just unloading their guns on each other. And I just was like, this is brutal. And eventually they gave up. They didn't give up. They ran out of ammo.
So yeah, that was hilarious.
Well, I think it was, totally emptied their guns on each other. And I can't imagine what their bodies looked like 2 days later.
Mark had a couple extra shots. So Sloan had to give up because he was out.
Oh, Sloan was out first and then Mark still had a few left. I mean, I wonder, like, I had welts all over my body, for the next couple of days. I can't imagine like how bad the bruising was on them.
But like even the year before when we were out in Scottsdale.
Scottsdale. Yeah.
And, I did that, Mark, asked us, goes, who wants to do rock climbing? I'm thinking, hey, we're going to go to this warehouse, do the rock walls and all that. No.
Like a rock climbing gym.
Yeah. No, we actually, one property was 100-foot straight up wall that we went up. And
yeah,
I looked at that and was like, what a huge challenge that was for me. Being, what, I was 58 when we were out there. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to do it. And I went up, and when I got to the top, I was like, it was that accomplishment. I would never probably do that, but I had about 10 other guys rooting me on. Even when I got stuck at one point, they were rooting me on, and I got up to the top, and I had a blast. But the challenges and challenging us, and I think these retreats challenge us to be open with ourselves, open with our emotions, but also challenging us to be better and to not look at something and say, oh, nope, that's too big. That's too high up. I can't do this. It was like, no, I'm going to do it. I'm going to try it. If I don't make it up to the top, that's okay. But when you get to that top, you feel like, man, I'm like this, up there, and you come down, everyone's high-fiving you. Yeah. It's like the support you get for accomplishing this huge obstacle in your life. And I took that back, man. What that obstacle looks like in real life. If I can do that 100-foot wall, I can do almost anything else in life. We experience when we do some of the stuff with the Jeeps, same thing. You get out there and you go over some of these big obstacles with the Jeeps, and you're like, oh man, this is really cool. And it's an experience I think people have to challenge themselves to try some of this stuff and to get that adrenaline going, put themselves in a situation where they would never do it. But when you're with a group of guys and you get it done and you see that what you can achieve, it just elevates you to a totally different level.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'm looking forward to the next one's coming up in December. So I think it's the first week of December this year in 2026. Okay. So yeah. So that's when the next one is where I'm announcing the dates too early. On the back end, we're planning it right now. And it'll be I'd like to do no edits, but but by the time this airs, we'll have it announced, I'm sure. So we're making sure we have everything lined up for the Unite conference first week of March. So by the time this episode airs, hopefully we've already made it a public announcement. But right now it's the first week of December in 2026, men's retreat. The rest of the details I'll save for later, but same thing. We have physical challenges. We have some fun stuff planned and some good, it's just a good time. And it's a great time. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Oh my God, the cheese last year. Yeah. That was wild. We had like 10 times the amount of cheese that we're supposed to have. They delivered the food. It was so bad. Like, what are you going to do with all this? That was funny. Yeah, man. So it's good. It's good to connect with you, man, and hear about your coaching journey and hear about what you're doing with the builder group and even be excited for next men's retreat too. I'm excited for that one. It's been great having you on the show today. Yeah, man. If someone's interested in getting in touch with you, maybe they've heard something today, they want to hear like a little bit more from you. What's the best way for someone to get a hold of you?
Well, they can always email me at hank@radiantinspect.com, or they can reach out to me at 813-957-8070.
Awesome, man. It's been great having you on the show today, and I can't wait to catch you on the next episode.
All right. I'll see you in a couple weeks.
Sounds good. Bye. Right.